So students, hello, we have reached the end of control and coordination, and here we are going to continue with the rest of the endocrine glands. Okay, so in the previous video, we discussed from hypothalamus till the thyroid gland, and here let's continue with the following glands. Okay, so in this video, we are going to cover parathyroid gland, thymus gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovary, testes, and also a little bit of feedback mechanism. Okay, so let's start with the parathyroid gland, which are four tiny glands located in the neck. Okay, and they are helpful in controlling the calcium and the phosphorus levels in our blood. Each gland is about the size of a grain of rice, okay, and they produce only one hormone, that is parathyroid hormone. So parathyroid hormone has a function which is exactly opposite to the opposite to calcitonin. Calcitonin is reducing the release of calcium from the blood, from the bone, sorry. But parathyroid hormone is only released in response to low calcium level in the blood, which stimulates the release of calcium from the bones into the blood. Okay, this is the function of the parathyroid hormone. This is the location of parathyroid hormone, which is which is visible on the back side of the thyroid gland. That's why it is known as parathyroid, means behind the thyroid gland. And here we are going to discuss the disorders of parathyroid gland. Okay, first disorder is hyperparathyroidism. So hyperparathyroidism means there is hypersecretion of, it is caused due to hypersecretion of parath hormone. Okay, that is parathyroid hormone. So this causes excitability of nerves, muscle cramps, and convulsions. Especially there are uncontrolled muscle spasms taking place in the muscles of face, larynx, and the limbs, and that is why it is known as parathyroid tetany. Okay, tetany are the uncontrolled convulsions, uncontrolled muscle spasms. Okay, and if it is due to parathyroid hormone, then it is regarded as, it is known as parathyroid tetany. Next is hypoparathyroidism. Okay, if there is hypo, uh, the first one is actually hypo. Okay, so I'll just correct it. The second one is hyper. This is due to the under secretion. Okay, this one is hyper, which is due to the over secretion of parathyroid hormone. So, due to the over secretion, more and more calcium ions will be secreted out, will be released out by the bones, which will cause bending, okay, and fracture of bones. This disease is known as osteoporosis. Okay, where the bones become brittle, weak, bending can take place, and fracture also. Okay, which can cause damage to the bones. So these are the disorders of parathyroid gland. Let's move on to the next gland, thymus gland. It is a small organ which is present in our chest region. Okay, it plays an important role in both the immune system and endocrine system. It is responsible for secreting thymosin, okay, which helps in the development of immunity in our body. Okay, for immunity, as you know, there are two cells, right? The B cells and the T cells. So thymus is it is large and pink in color when we are born, but it gradually atrophies when we grow up. Okay, and it helps in training the T lymphocytes to fight infection, and even cancer lasts for a lifetime. So the bone, the blood, basically the blood is synthesized in the bone marrow, right? And inside the bone marrow, the B cells, when they are produced, they mature there only, but the T cells, they are synthesized in the bone marrow, then they migrate to the thymus gland, where they get mature, where they are different, where they differentiate and they mature. So thymus gland is very important for the maturation of the T cells, without which the immune system will become weak. Okay, and the cancer fighting ability also of the body is affected. So T cells are basically called because they mature, they are called so because they're mature, they're maturing in the thymus gland. Okay, so this is the structure of the thymus gland, and it is a tiny little gland which is present in our chest region. Okay, it has a right lobe and a left lobe. And yeah, so here I just want to tell you about the hormone. Okay, hormone of the thymus gland, which is thymosin. Okay, and it helps in differentiation and maturation of T cells, T lymphocytes. Okay, so let's move on to the next gland, that is adrenal gland. Adrenal gland are also known as suprarenal glands because they are present on the top of the kidneys. They produce a variety of hormones, including adrenaline and steroids like aldosterone and cortisol. They are found above the kidneys. So each gland has an outer cortex, okay, which produces steroid hormones, and an inner medulla which produces adrenaline. Okay, so this is the structure. You can see the cortex in the section of the adrenal gland. You can see the outer cortex and inner medulla. So here I'm going to discuss the medullary glands. Okay, cortex, the hormone secreted by the adrenal cortex. So I'm going to make two columns. And adrenal medulla. Okay, adrenal cortex secretes mineralocorticoids, and one such mineralocorticoid is aldosterone. Okay, which is a salt retaining hormone. So we discussed that ADH causes the absorption of more and more water. So aldosterone here is responsible for the absorption of sodium ions if from the kidney tubules. Okay. Second are glucocorticoids. They are involved in the metabolism process. One of the important glucocorticoid is cortisol. And then the third type of cortical hormone are sex corticoids, which are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Okay. Adrenal medulla, on the other hand, it secretes the emergency hormones which are responsible for the fight and flight situation, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are also known as epinephrine, and noradrenaline is also known as norepinephrine. Both of these hormones, they are responsible for, they work in coordination with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. This is another example of control and coordination between the nervous and the endocrine system, where they prepare the body for the fight or flight situation in case of an emergency. Okay, so the we with this we have come to the disorders of the adrenal gland. So the first disorder is Addison's disease. Okay, this is caused due to the deficiency of mineralocorticoids, aldosterone. Okay, if the salt is not retained properly, then there is weight loss, weakness, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. These are the symptoms of Addison's disease. Next is Cushing syndrome, which is caused due to the oversecretion of cortisol, which is a glucocorticoid. Okay, this can cause high blood pressure, and blood volume. Okay, next disease is uh, aldosteronism. Okay, aldosteronism is due to excess of aldosterone. Okay, due to the excess of aldosterone, there is high BP. Okay, high blood volume. Last disease is uh, with the excess of the sex corticoids, but in females, which is known as adrenal viralism. Okay, excess of sex corticoids in females. So, as a result of high testosterone levels in females, they show the male characters also, male secondary sexual characters like appearance of beard, the voice changes are there, and they also get hair on the chest region, etc. Okay, so these are the disorders of the adrenal gland. Okay, let's move on to the next gland, that is pancreas. Pancreas is a mixed gland. Okay, it is a mixed gland because it has both exocrine and endocrine. It makes both exocrine and endocrine secretions. Okay, exocrine is that it is producing the digestive juices. Okay, and in the endocrine system, it is producing the hormones. So that is why it is known as the mixed gland. So pancreas produces the hormone insulin and secretes it into the bloodstream, which regulates the blood glucose or sugar level. This is uh, the diagram of pancreas. Okay, the uh, pancreatic acini are there, and there is islets of Langerhans. Okay, Islets of Langerhans cells are endocrine in nature. They are responsible for the endocrine secretion. So if you look at the pancreatic islets, there are three types of cells: alpha cells, beta cells, and basically four types of cells, out of which two are most important: alpha and beta. Alpha is responsible for the secretion of glucagon and beta for insulin. Okay, so insulin is secreted when secreted from beta cells. Okay, and it comes out when the glucose is high in the blood. Okay, then it causes the lowering of the blood glucose, and the disorder of the pancreas due to the low insulin secretion, okay, is diabetes mellitus. Okay, diabetes mellitus is characterized by high blood glucose due to under secretion of insulin. Okay, then the second hormone is glucagon, which is secreted by alpha cells. Okay, and this is released when there is low blood glucose. Okay, low blood glucose level. Okay, then it will be secreted and will bring about the increase the blood glucose level. Okay, next is ovary. Okay, so you can see the diagram of the female reproductive system, and there are two ovaries, one on the left side and other one on the right side. So it is an organ of the female reproductive system. Okay, what we need to focus on is the hormones of the female reproductive system. So first one is estrogen. Okay, estrogen is involved in the production of eggs inside the ovary, and also appearance of secondary sexual characters. Okay, second is progesterone. This is responsible for maintenance of uterus during pregnancy. That's why it is known as pregnancy hormone. Okay, so these are the two hormones. Next is testes. They are a part of male reproductive system, sperm producing organs. Okay, and what we need to focus on here is the hormone that is secreted by the testes, which is only one, that is testosterone, and it is responsible for sperm development and also appearance of secondary sexual characters. Okay, in the during a puberty. So with this, let's move on to the feedback mechanism, which is a loop system wherein the system responds to a perturbation. Okay, there are two types of feedback mechanism: positive feedback and negative feedback, which can be explained through these pictures. In the positive feedback, the response that is given by the body causes more and more release of the hormone. Okay, for example, when the head of the baby pushes against the cervix during childbirth process, the nerve impulses from the cervix are transmitted to the brain. the brain stimulates the posterior pituitary, okay, to secrete more and more oxytocin, which is carried to the bloodstream, into the bloodstream to the uterus, which stimulates uterine contraction and then pushes the baby towards the cervix. Now, this is a positive loop, positive feedback loop. Now, the baby's head is pushing towards the cervix, and more oxytocin will be secreted as a result. Okay, so this is a positive feedback mechanism. The negative feedback is just opposite. Okay, for example, if the blood glucose level is too low, okay, the pancreas will release glucagon, and the glucagon causes the breakdown of glycogen in liver to release glucose. But if it is too high, then it will cause the release of insulin, and it will remove insulin, will cause the removal of glucose from the blood, and it will be stored as glycogen in the liver. Okay, this is how the blood glucose level is maintained in the body by insulin, by both insulin and glucagon. Okay, negative feedback is the way where if the balance has brought about by a particular hormone, then a signal is given, a stimulus is given to the organ to stop the secretion of that particular hormone because it is no more needed. So with this, let's move on to these points uh, of differentiation between positive and negative feedback loops. So this results in the amplification or growth of the output signal. This results in the inhibition of the process. Okay. Uh, Positive feedback loop break down the homeostasis of the system. Okay, always maintain the condition of homeostasis. Negative feedback, okay, positive feedback is less common, but negative feedback occurs more often. Example of positive feedback is childbirth, blood clotting, fruit ripening. An example of negative feedback is regulation of body temperature, blood pressure, fluid content. So the first question with this is to give a reason to explain why adrenaline helps in dealing emergency situation. Okay, and secretions of growth hormone should be specific in the human body. So adrenaline helps in dealing emergency situation because it prepares our body against it. Okay, like it will increase the heartbeat, it will increase the blood pressure, it will increase the breathing rate, it will increase the conversion of glycogen into glucose by the liver, so that we have more and more energy, and we can decide what we want to do. Either we want to fly away or we want to fight the situation. Okay, second one, secretion of growth hormones should be specific. So if the body needs to grow, okay, then only the growth hormone should be secreted. If the body doesn't need any growth in any part, then the growth hormone should not be secreted. Okay, this is the negative, under the control of negative feedback. Okay, why are some patients of diabetes treated by giving injections of insulin? Because their pancreas is unable to make insulin. That's why they are given insulin injections artificially to decrease the blood glucose level. Next is, how does a body respond when adrenaline is secreted into the body? BP increases, heart rate increases, breathing rate increases, and I'm sure you can list down many other points like goose flesh appears. Okay, the eyeballs get dilated, there is more and more glucose released by the liver, etc. List the functions of testosterone and estrogen. Where are they secreted? So testosterone is secreted by the testes. Okay, and it is secreted for the sperm development, proper development of the sperm and its secretion, and also the appearance of secondary sexual characters like appearance of beard, the voice becomes high pitched, broadening of shoulder takes place, etc. Okay. Estrogen, on the other hand, is secreted by the ovary. It helps in the development of eggs inside the ovary and also the appearance of secondary sexual characters, like the voice becomes low pitched, the pelvic area broadens, there is breast development, okay, etc. etc. Next question, here we have to complete the following table. Okay. So the first two are auxin and cytokinin. I think we already did this. This is cell division here. Okay. Growth hormone is secreted from the anterior pituitary, and it brings about growth of the body. Okay. The hormone that is secreted at the time of emergency will be adrenaline. Okay. Estrogen is secreted from the ovaries, and it will bring about the egg egg development. Okay. Let's move on. Which hormone controls the metabolism of calcium and phosphorus in human beings? So there are two hormones, calcitonin, that are secreted from the thyroid gland, that is secreted from the thyroid gland, and second one is parathyroid hormone, that is secreted from the parathyroid gland. Next, which hormone helps in lowering the level of blood glucose in human beings? It is insulin, which is secreted from the pancreas. Okay. Then answer the following. Which hormone is responsible for the changes noted in the females at puberty? This is estrogen. Dwarfism results due to the deficiency of which hormone? A growth hormone. Okay. Blood glucose level rises due to deficiency of which hormone? Insulin. Iodine is necessary for the synthesis of which hormone? Thyroxine. Okay. So next, why is pancreas called a dual function gland? Write the names of its hormones. So pancreas is a dual function gland because it has both endocrine, and it shows both endocrine and exocrine functions. Endocrine, in the endocrine function, it secretes the following hormones: insulin and glucagon. Okay. And exocrine function is that it secretes pancreatic juice, which brings about digestion of food in the small intestine. Okay. Then the end, we have finished the chapter. And if you have any questions, you can post them on the forum, and I will be very happy to help, very happy to answer them. I hope you liked it, and most of all, you understood it. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.